Greetings fans, hyperfans and people just lost looking for videos of cats on YouTube. I'm still waiting to get hold of the Leonard Aliens figures from Smith's in the UK, but I remember that a couple of videos ago when I was at Liverpool Comic Con, I showed that I had picked up a figure which is absolutely fantastic, little Predator. I've been twitching to get him open for months, but I really wanted to save him for a video. So since toy stores are pretty much still shut up, I thought I would do an unboxing and a quick look at this guy. So it's a nice window display so you can see all the accessories that are in him. The side has got the Predator 2 logo on it. The back shows you a couple of other figures in the series and shows that this is a figure that's imported by Diamond Comics. And yes, of course I've already opened it to have a look. But let's actually get him out of the package for you now. Okay, so everything is in a nice safe clamshell. Paperwork, we have a nice art card with sort of a very in shadow figure from Predator 2, blank on the back, so you can use that as a display backing or just keep it as an art card. Quick look at the rest of the figures. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 different ones to collect. Some are masked, some aren't. They don't really have that option of taking the mask off. The guy who was selling this had a few of the figures, but this was the one that looked most like the classic Predator. So he's actually the Predator Scout. I think he looks closest to the one that I bought in the first film. Take the top off. And there are a decent amount of accessories in here. He's got an extended weapon, although that's very thin plastic and it is a little bit wibbly wobbly. I'll probably sort of straighten that out and give that a bit of heat treatment. He comes with a nice city type stand. They've got these little connection ports and the pegs for that, so if you're going to get a few of those you can actually link them up pretty well. You have an alien skull of some sort from the final scene of Predator 2 where you're inside the ship and you can see the trophy room. One of these did actually come with a xenomorph skull, but I think it was actually sort of the figure that I liked the least, so obviously why they packed those together. He's got alternate hands, he has a throwing disc, but the main attraction is of course the Predator figure himself, who does not want to stand on my display. So yep, it does have the standard pegged holes in the feet, though that's really tight to get on. Okay, doing this off camera. So there. It does sort of snap on rather than just slide onto the peg, so it's very secure, but it does feel a little bit nerve-wracking putting it on. This is a 1/18th scale figure, so we're talking 3 3/4 inches, so G.I. Joe, Star Wars, Marvel Legends. So actually if I bring a couple of those in, there is Iron Man and Cobra Commander. And the reason I'm putting them that close is because I really do want you to see them side by side, because despite being all the same scale, Predator's a good half head taller than the others, as it should be, because you know he is supposed to be a bigger, imposing character. But if you're someone who does your own narrative photo shoot stuff, these figures are going to go together really well. Now, Hiya Toys calls this their exquisite mini range, and they're doing lots of sort of classic 80s action stuff. They're doing the Robocop line next, and there's going to be the Robocop 3 backpack and some pull apart stuff, and I'm really looking forward to seeing that, especially considering actually how detailed these figures are. If I refocus. Okay, so We'll start with the paint apps. Everything here is really nicely toned. I mean, all the fishnet is sculpted and then picked out. There's lots of shading on every piece of this. The hair has those dread coils all individually painted. I can't actually tell whether there would be a predator face underneath there because that's glued on pretty tightly, but you can kind of see the beginnings of the sculpt, so I think it'd probably be under there but not painted, just so that they keep their moulding costs down. The metal all has quite deep washes and highlights. I mean, the sculpted detail on these sort of rubber pieces is really excellent. But yeah, he's got sort of these tiger stripes down the legs. A little bit annoying that you can see some of the joint stuff, but as someone who actually sort of paints articulated models myself, I know that you can't always get the paint to look great on those. I do wish it would be moulded at least in a corresponding colour. The mask is really nicely detailed, and yeah, he's just exactly what you want from a Predator figure. Some nice little features like these claws will come out, so the disc clips into his holster. Weapons fit into the hands pretty well. I mean, again, it's not the hardest plastic in the world to get past, but you do feel a little bit concerned with quite how fiddly it all is. So yeah, it's quite fiddly getting stuff into the hands, but once it's in, it's quite firm. The hands can pop out, and you've got two alternate open hands which actually let you hold the throwing disc. It actually even scales pretty well with the old Kenner aliens. I have to say though that for a premium figure, articulation on him is kind of limited. I mean, the head is on a ball joint, so you can get some really nice angles out of it. The shoulders are on universals, so they will turn. He has a very tight bicep swivel, nice deep elbow. The wrists will swivel and turn. Again, I think those are on tiny ball joints. They do feel a little bit nervous. I feel a little bit nervous turning them. The waist isn't actually a waist. He has an ab cut which gives a little bit of forwards and back, but it's mainly there for turning. Nothing actually at the hips. The hip joints are again ball joints, hindered a little bit by that soft rubber skirt. There is again a super tight thigh cut. I mean, if you just listen, that's nervously tight. The knees are on a double joint, but they still only go a little bit over 90 degrees. Oh, and I'm already leaking flaked paint. The feet are on just a rotation. There is no sort of, there's a little bit of play, but that's not really articulation as such. And to be honest, that's about the same level of articulation as I got with this sort of £7 Iron Man. Obviously the waist cut isn't there on this one, but that's because he's got a light up effect. But for something that's like, you know, yeah, I got him for about half of that, but something that's retailing at 30, I don't know, kind of expected a little bit more. I mean, the money's obviously gone into the license, the paint. He's still a nice figure, but just, you know that I'm a very demanding toy collector. If he'd had the removable mask, if he'd had maybe something else at the waist for articulation, a couple more accessories, he would have been an absolute killer figure. But obviously they want you to buy all of them because, you know, there are some that have got the harness with the shoulder mounted cannon, some have got the exposed face, so there's going to be a figure out there that suits your taste in Predator, or maybe even several. So I know the main license for Predator action figures is sitting with NECA at the moment, and if you like them and you've got the space for them, that's absolutely fantastic. If you want something a little bit smaller, either as a desk toy or just that's the scale you collect, you can still pick these up on eBay for anywhere between £15 and £35 depending on how lucky you get. A lot of places are taking pre-orders for the Robocops, and I will be keeping an eye on Hiya Toys to see how that develops. As always, if you like the video, hit the thumbs up, hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications for the next video, and until next time, if you're keeping the mint in package, you're not a toy collector, you're a box collector.